Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome back to Easy Mathematics. We thank God for a long break. Finally, we are back. Today, we want to start with a basic 9 lesson, which is rounding of numbers to a significant figures and to a given decimal place. We've looked at the significant figures in our previous videos. So for more understanding, we will encourage all subscribers and viewers to follow and get the basic of significant figures and decimal place. But for short, whenever we are being asked to round a number to a given significant figure, the significant figure simply means that we are going to start from the very first number that is not zero, so the non-zero digit. So if you look at the whole numbers we have here, it says round the following whole numbers to number one. It says four significant figures. When we say four significant figures, it means start from the first number that is not zero. So starting from the first number that is not zero, count to the fourth number. So let's look at the first example we have. So to round this number to four significant figures, the first number that is not zero, the first number starting from your left to right, always from the left to right, is 3. And when we say a non-zero digit, it means it is not zero. So let's count four significant figures to the fourth number. So starting from the first non-zero digit, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So the fourth significant figure happens to be 3. So 3 being the fourth significant figure, then we are going to consider the number on the immediate right of 3. So the number on the immediate right of 3 is 2. Now whenever the number on the immediate right is more than 5, is equal to 5, we say add 1 to the significant identified figure. But if it is less than 5, you maintain the digit. Then we change the remaining values to 0. So in writing the significant figure for this value, I am going to start from this, right? 3, 4, 8, and 3. Now, if the number on the immediate right was to be 5 or more, then I could have added 1 to the 3. But because it is less than 5, then I'm going to maintain the identified significant figure. Then I'll change all these digits to 0. So we have 0, 0, 0, 0. And this gives us a value of 34,830,000. So with a significant figure, if it is a whole number, we start with the first non-zero digit, and that is the significant figure. Let's look at the next one. You have this value, which also it says that round it to four significant figures. Most of the times you see the significant figures abbreviated as SF. So you can be asked to solve for a decimal, you can be asked to multiply, to add, and they will tell you to leave your answer in a significant figure. So if it is a whole number, then we are going to start from the first non-zero digit, the very first non-zero digit. So the first non-zero digit happens to be 9. So to how many significant figures? To 4. So we count to the fourth significant figure. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth significant figure is 3. So it is always important that we have to identify the significant figure. So if 3 is the significant figure, what is the number on the immediate right of 3? Or which number is at the immediate right of 3? The number at the immediate right of 3 is 8. So because the 8 is more than 5, then I'm going to add 1 to the 3, which will change to 4. So in writing the answer or the value is going to give me 9, 3, 4, Then because the number at the immediate right of 3 is more than 5, will give me 4. Now that you've been able to add 1 to this, change all the digits to zeros. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Giving you 934,400,000. So once you are able to identify the value at a given significant place, then you check the number at the immediate right. And that is all for significant figures when it comes to whole numbers. Now let's look at the C. You are also rounding to 4 significant figures. The first non-zero digit, the very first one. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. And the number happens to be 8. The first non-zero digit, starting from the first non-zero digit. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The number at the immediate right is 4, which is less than 5. So that gives us 3, 9, 9, 8. 3, 9, 9, 8. Since the 4 is less than 5, then we are going to maintain the 8. Then we'll change the remaining digits to 0. We nearly wrote the 4. So that should give you your value, which is also 39,980,000. So this is something that we've talked about in our previous video. So we are just trying to solve more example on it. Then we'll look at the problem or the word problem involved in significant figures. Now, you can also be asked to live in 5 significant figures. Simply also start from the first non-zero digit to the 5th figure. So here it says that we have to round to 3 significant figures. 3 significant figures. Start from the first number on your left. That is non-zero or not 0. So when we look at this, our first non-zero digit happens to this number. So let's count. We have 1, 2, 3. This is having, or this is at the third, or this is the third significant figure. It being the third significant figure, then we are going to check the number at the immediate right, which is 4, happens to be less than 5. So we maintain and write 4, 3, 2. Then we change the remaining digit to zeros. And that is it for significant figures. Then also the same thing. Don't say that because there's a decimal point here, I'll need to come here. No, it's the same thing. So I have 3 significant figures. You have 1, 2, 3. It's less than 5. So we maintain and write 3, 4.3. Now we can just write the 0 for that. But because it is a decimal, because this number happens to be decimal, we can choose to ignore the zeros after the decimal point, which is also correct. So in 3 significant figures simply means that start from the first non-zero digit and count to the given significant figure. Let's look at the last one. Now this last one happens to be decimal, and I am to write it in 3 significant figures. How can I write it in 3 significant figures? I'm just going to start from the non-zero digit. So non-zero, the first number is 0, so we are not going to start here. So I'll move to the next one. It is also 0. I'll move to the next one. It's also 0. Now the next number is not 0. So the first non-zero digit is 4. So we count 3 to the third significant figure. So we say 1, 2, 3. This is the third number or the third significant figure. So if this being the third significant figure, what do? We are going to check the number on the right. It's 4, which is less than 5. So we maintain the right 0.0043. We maintain the 2. We just change these 2 into 0, 0. But because it is after a point and numbers are after it, we can choose to ignore the decimal point. And that is all for significant figures. just know that with the significant figures, we want the first non-zero digit, the first number that is not zero. So for more, you can go through our previous videos, then you take the introduction from there. Now let's look at the last one for the day, being the first time. So it says that decimal place. Also round the following decimals to. Now we also said that with the three decimal places, or with the decimal places, it is different from significant figures. With the decimal place, we start right after the decimal point. So if you look at the first number and it says to 3 decimal place, what it's telling you is that after the decimal point, let there be 3 numbers. So if we say 4 decimal place, after the decimal point, let there be 4 numbers. 1 decimal place, let there be only a number after the decimal point, and that is decimal place. Good. So if I'm to round this number to 3 decimal places, then I'm going to start from the first number after the decimal point, the very first number after the decimal point, because decimal talks or deals with what? Point. So 3 decimal places start from the first number after the decimal point. So we are going to say 1, 2, 3. This is the third number. Also, just as you will check for this one, that is it more than 5, is it equal to 5, or less than 5? If it is less than 5, then maintain the identified digit. But if it is more than 5 or equal to 5, then add 1 to the identified digit. So the number on the right is 3, which is less than 5. So this number in 3 decimal places will give us 0.348. We want to see only 3 numbers after the decimal point. Why? Because it says 3 decimal places. That's all. Then the same thing happens to this one. You are to leave it to 3 decimal places. So after the decimal point, know that decimal place is different from significant figures. With the significant figures, the first non-zero. But with the decimal point, the first number after the decimal point, that's the decimal place. So 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3. This number. What is the number at the immediate right? It's 3. It's less than 5. So maintain the 9. 3 decimal places, you have 0.4. There's a 0 after the point. So we have 0.049. To 3 decimal places, then you are correct. Also, to 3 decimal places, you have 1, 2, 3. This very number. So if it is up to 3, the number on the right is less than 5. Then we are going to get what? 0.897. And that is 3 decimal places. Then we have the 2 decimal places. Also after the decimal point, there should be 2 numbers after the decimal point. So we have 1, 2. This is the number. The number on the right is 2, which is less than 5. So we have 49.43. We should get only 2 numbers after the decimal point. So let's say this number, let's change this value or this digit to 13.35614. And we are to leave it to 2 decimal places. After the decimal point, we should see only 2 numbers. So this is 1 decimal place, this is 2 decimal places. The number on the right is more than 5. If it is equal to 5, more than 5, add 1 to the identified number. So since this is more than 5, I'll add 1, which is going to give me 13.36. We want to see only 2 numbers after the decimal point. And there is this last one I want us to look at. Let's say you have 1.39841. It says round to two decimal places. Two decimal places. You should know that two decimal places means leave two numbers after the decimal point. So if I want two numbers after the decimal point, starting right after the decimal point on the second number. So I have 1, 2. This is the identifying number. Now, if this is the identifying number, what number is after the 9? The number on the right happens to be more than 5. So since it is more than 5, then I'm going to add 1 to this number. Now, if I add 1 to this number, this is going to give me 10. And we are not supposed to write all the 10. So we will write 0 for this number, and we'll carry the 1 to the number here, making this number to be 4. So in two decimal places, it's going to give us 1.40. We have to bring the 0 because it says two decimal places, so that we can get two numbers after the decimal point. Thank you. This is just a record on significant figures in decimals. We'll meet again and we'll look at word problem whereby you'll be asked to use the decimal and the significant figures in Basic 9. Thank you once again for staying tuned. God really bless you. We'll meet again next time. Bye-bye.